Hello from Muskogee, Oklahoma, a place where even squares can have a ball, I understand. I'm Alex Joyner, pastor of First United Methodist Church in Charlottesville, Virginia, and also Hinton Avenue United Methodist Church as of July the 1st. This is the Midweek Update for June 22nd, 2022. I'm here on vacation this week on the way to Colorado with the rest of my family, and we're spending the night in Muskogee because this is where my cousin lives, and we love to stop here. It's a neat little town, hot in the summer, a lot of tornadoes, but great history and great music. This is the Oklahoma Music Fame, so you can see Merle Haggard's guitar in there, maybe some Woody Guthrie memorabilia too. If you're ever in Muskogee, I recommend the collection here at the Hall of Fame. Lots of stuff going on this week, and I hope you'll pay attention to all of the comments and the notes in your midweek update email this week. Most particularly, as we get ready for this new cooperative parish relationship, I want to draw your attention to the date of July the 10th, which is the first Sunday that First Church and Hinton Avenue will be worshiping together at First Church. We're going to follow up the worship service with a lunch, hopefully in the park if the weather is good, and it'll be a prepared lunch, so you don't have to bring any food for that. If you want to bring a dessert, that would be great, but I hope you'll plan on being there for that important day, or joining us online as we start this new experience together. So that's the update from Muskogee. I've got a little bonus for you right after this. You can see a clip of my conversation with Rebecca Simon Peter, someone I've worked with for a while as director of the program of creating a culture of renewal. And she thinks a lot about what church can be like in the future. She's a consultant working out of Wyoming, and she has written a new book called Forging a New Path, which is about doing ministry in the post-pandemic world. Hope you enjoy that. Hope you have a great week. I'll look forward to seeing you soon with my next update from the road, and God bless. So what's the shape of this post-pandemic world that we're in?
Boy, such a good question, Alex. And it's really hard to predict the future. But when we look around, one of the things that we see is that life has changed and people simply aren't resuming their 2019 schedules. I was talking with my husband about that earlier today. We're both in recovery. I don't go to the same meetings I used to go to, and I don't even know if they exist anymore. One of the church services I used to attend doesn't even exist anymore. And so the world is different because our patterns got interrupted very dramatically. Everybody's life shifts and change. You shop at a different store, you have new friends, you try out a new gym. But this was such a remarkable disruption that one had to be extremely intentional about the threads of life that got picked up as we're emerging out of the pandemic. Now, that's just on a personal level about how things change. But when we look at the world, in terms of technology, just the things that are available online now, telehealth, you couldn't get really telehealth before. Not really. Like, that was a weird thing. Like, you're going to go see
you
your
had to get
doctor
special permission to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. And, but we're also in a world of greater chaos and upheaval. We have the war in Ukraine. We have other wars that are going on. We have a commission on the January 6th insurrection going on. We have a much greater tolerance for misinformation and disinformation than we ever had before. We seem much more willing to sort through what's what on the one hand, and on the other hand, much less willing to sort through what's what, to engage in critical thinking. So I think in some ways we have entered the multiverse, and it's all happening at the same time. And it's kind of crazy. And so in some ways, we really have created these many, many little worlds that people are operating where they can choose which world they're operating in and never be bothered by any of the other worlds. And yet there are those of us, pastors, and other people that hold the big picture and that hold the big vision that are aware we've got all these different multiverses happening at the same time. How do we integrate them? How do we navigate them? How do we move the church forward in a post-pandemic world? How do we move democracy forward in a post-pandemic world? What does public health look like? The gun violence that we're experiencing. So in some ways, keeping with that idea of ecosystems, we're headed towards increasing entropy, which is things fall apart. That's the way of the world. Things fall apart unless there's energy put in to upgrade and uplift and keep it going. And I think there are leaders like the worlds that we're in, Alex, leaders like you and the other leaders I have the pleasure of serving, where we're interested in how do we move things forward? Because we see this whole range of worlds out there. And how do we find the path that is ethical, that is sustainable, that is life-giving, that's divinely inspired and companioned? How do we do that? So that's a lot of why I think it's time to forge a new path, because we weren't exactly there before. We had the questions, but now they're in stark relief.